This is chapter 5 of the best Christmas pageant ever. No, it's the best school year ever. Every now and then I would remember about the assignment for the year, compliments for classmates, and I'd turn to that page in my notebook. So far, I'd thought up compliments for 6 people, including Alice. For Alice, I put important. I'm not sure I'd call that a compliment, my mother said. Alice would, I told her, and actually Alice would probably consider it a natural fact. Like the earth is round, the sky is blue, Alice Windleton is important. Alice began being important right away in first grade because she was the only first grade kid who'd ever been inside the teacher's room. So whenever something had to be delivered there, Alice got to deliver it. I have a note to go to the teacher's room, our teacher would say, way up on the 3rd floor. So Alice, I'll ask you to be my messenger since you know exactly where it is. Then Alice would stand up and straighten her dress and pat her hair and carry the note in both hands out in front of her as if it were news from God. Most of all, she would never tell what was in the room. Whenever the teachers didn't have anything else to do, they went and hid in the teacher's room. But nobody else ever got in there. You couldn't see in there either because the door was wood and frosted glass almost to the top. Boomer Malone once got Charlie to climb up on his shoulders and look in, but all Charlie said was he could see a sign that said, now the author's going to use the Lord's name in vain, so I will say it as it's written, and then you'll see that people are mad that the sign says this. The sign said, thank God it's Friday. And another sign said, thank God it's June. Well, this got spread around school, and the kids went home and told swear words. Lord's name in vain were in the teacher's room. So after that, they put up a curtain, and nobody could see anything inside. There isn't anything to see. They said just some chairs and a table and a sofa and a big coffee pot and a little refrigerator. No TV? Charlie said, no TV. What are they doing there? Mother sighed. I suppose they relax, she said, and talk to each other and have lunch. That's not what Imogene Herdman says, Charlie muttered. Well, Mother said, if you believe what Imogene Herdman says, you'll believe anything. They go in there to smoke cigars and drink Cokes. That's what Imogene had said. And if somebody has a cake, they put it in a Sears Roebuck sack and pretend it's something they brought. And when they go in there, they eat it where nobody can see them. And they don't let anybody in who doesn't know the password. Charlie brightened right up. What's the password? They pick a new one every day, Imogene said, and they put it up in the morning announcements like what's for lunch. Once the password was macaroni and cheese. I figured Imogene was making this up as she went along, but you had to be impressed with her imagination. I even got out my notebook and started to write that down. Imogene Herdman has imagination. But then I realized it wasn't imagination. It was a big lie. I also realized that finding a compliment for Imogene Herdman was probably the hardest thing I'd have to do all year, and I'd better start thinking about it. Of course, Charlie kept waiting for macaroni and cheese to show up in the morning announcements. He was going to walk past the teacher's room and say, macaroni and cheese, and see what happened. But the next time it was on the lunch menu, Charlie was stuck in the nurse's room with a nosebleed and didn't get to try it. Imogene told him it didn't make any difference because the password that day had been softball. Did you try it? Charlie asked, did you get in? I don't want in. Imogene gave him this dark, squinty-eyed look. If a kid gets in that room, they never let him out. Remember Pauline Ellison? Charlie shook his head. No, neither does anybody else. She got in the teacher's room. Remember Kenneth Weaver? Did you see Kenneth Weaver lately? No, he's got the mumps. That's what you think. Kenneth doesn't have the mumps. Kenneth's got caught in the teacher's room. I guess this was way too much for even Charlie. I don't believe you, he said. Imogene grinned her girl Godzilla grin. Neither did Kenneth. She said, I told him better not to go near the teacher's room, but... She shrugged. He did it anyway. For once, nobody believed Imogene. Nobody told her so, but Alice Windleton said that from now on, Imogene couldn't shove people around anymore because she was a proven liar, and no matter what she said, everybody would laugh at her and that maybe knock her down. Nobody believed that either, but it sounded great. Just wait till Kenneth comes back, everybody said. But Kenneth didn't come back. Charlie hunted me up at recess with the news. He's never coming back, he said. The teacher gathered up his books and moved Bernadette Slocum into his seat and said, well, we will certainly miss Kenneth, won't we? It's just like Imogene said. Oh, come on, Charlie, I said. You know they haven't got him shut up in the teacher's room. Still, you had to wonder. First, Imogene said Kenneth was gone, and then he was gone. What if Imogene was right? I wasn't the only one who thought about this, and I wasn't the only one who found reason to stay away from the teacher's room, and even to stay away from the whole 3rd floor. Kids suddenly couldn't climb stairs for one reason or another, or kids got dizzy if they went above the 2nd floor. Alice had what she called a twisted toe and limped around holding on to chairs and tables, all on the floor naturally. But Luella McCluskey told the real truth for everyone. I don't think Imogene Herdman's right, she said, but I don't think kids disappear into the teacher's room. But maybe she is, and maybe they do, and I'm not going to take any chances. Then 2 teachers and a district supervisor and Mrs. Winkeln got all locked in the teacher's room by accident. They were in there for an hour and a half, banging on the door and yelling and even throwing things out the window. They took down the curtains and climbed up on chairs and waved their arms around at the top of the door, but nobody saw them and nobody heard them because nobody really ever went near the teacher's room. They were all pretty mad, especially the district supervisor, and Mrs. Winkeln was hysterical by the time somebody let her out. By that time, too, they were all worn out and hoarse from yelling and dizzy from waving their arms around in the air. Who finally let them out was Imogene. She said that she stood around trying to decide what to do, and that made Mrs. Winkeln hysterical all over again. What to do? She said, open the door and let us out. That's what to do. But it's the teacher's room, Imogene said, looking shocked as if she had this rule burned into her brain. We're not allowed in the teacher's room. You're allowed to let people out of the teacher's room, Mrs. Winkeln hollered. Then the district supervisor got mad at Mrs. Winkeln. This child has saved the day, she said. We ought to thank her, and let me tell you, there are plenty of schools in this district where the students spend every waking minute trying to break into the teacher's room or sneak into the teacher's room. You wouldn't believe the wild tales I've heard. Now here's a student who seems to understand that teachers need a little privacy. I hope you have more boys and girls like this. Is this Imogene? Oh, we have 5 more exactly like her, said one of the teachers. The district supervisor said that was wonderful, and nobody argued with her. They were too tired, I guess, from jumping up and down and yelling for help. The whole thing got in the newspaper. School personnel locked in 3rd floor room, it said, released by Albert student. It didn't name that. Oh, it says alert students, all in caps. Looks kind of funny. Released by alert student. It didn't name the alert student by name, but everybody knew who it was. Except Kenneth Weaver, Charlie said. It doesn't say anything about Kenneth Weaver. That proves it, Charlie. I said he never was in there. Why in the world would Kenneth Weaver be in the teacher's room? Mother said the whole family moved to Toledo. Did they take Kenneth? Charlie asked. Certainly they took Kenneth. Who would move away and leave their children? Mr. Herdman, I said, but Mother said that was different. Alice Winkeln cut out the newspaper article and gave it to Imogene. I thought you'd want to keep it, she said, since it's about you. Of course, nobody knows it's about you because they didn't print your name. I wonder why they didn't print your name. They didn't print Kenneth's name either, Imogene said. So what? So Kenneth wasn't even in there, Alice said. Imogene stuck her nose right up against Alice's nose, which naturally made Alice nervous and also cross-eyed. Why do you think I opened the door to that room? She said. You think I opened the door to let those teachers out? Who cares if they never got out? I let Kenneth out. My mother was in there, Alice said, and she didn't see Kenneth. Did you ask her? Well, no, because I know Kenneth Weaver is in Toledo. He is now, Imogene said. This was a typical Herdman, too shifty to figure out, and even Alice didn't try. Doesn't say Alice. Aside from congratulating Imogene, the district supervisor said that the worst part of being shut up in there for an hour and a half was the furniture. Flumpy old sofa, she said, broken down chairs, terrible lighting. It doesn't surprise me that the door was broken too. Everything in that room was broken. So the teachers got a new sofa and chairs, and the furniture store donated a new rug, and they painted the walls and fixed the door and bought new curtains and a big green plant. They left the door open, too, for a couple of days so everybody could see all the new stuff, which just went to prove, Alice said, that there's nothing and nobody hidden in there, and there never was. Imogene shrugged. Suit yourself. Charlie was feeling brave, too. Where would they be? He said, there's no place for them. Sure there is, Imogene pointed. How about that? The plant that ate Chicago? The plant? Mother said that evening. Well, I would have chosen some normal kind of plant, like a fern, but I guess they wanted something scientific for the teacher's room. That plant is a Venus flytrap. It eats flies. It swallows them right up. Charlie looked at me, his eyes wide, and I knew what he was thinking, that maybe you could say the password by accident, disappear into the teacher's room, and never be seen again because of death by plant. It eats flies, Charlie, I said. Nothing but flies. Well, after all, it's just a plant. I said, it doesn't know flies from a hamburger. I guess it eats anything it gets a hold of. Once Charlie spread that word around, you could normally have kids lining up to feed stuff to a plant. pizza, potato chips, M&M cookies, and they probably would have had to keep the door locked and put a big sign on it that said private, keep out, teachers only. But none of this happened because nobody would go near that teacher's room, not even to watch a plant eat its lunch. When the district supervisor came back to see the new furniture, she mentioned this and said that the teachers could thank that thoughtful girl, what was her name, Imogene, for all their peace and privacy. I guess she was right, in a way, but I didn't see any teachers rushing to thank Imogene. And never mind how much I needed to find a compliment for her, I certainly couldn't write down Imogene Herdman is thoughtful, no matter how or what the district supervisor said.